The judge decides the fate of the Trump empire. What you need to know about the upcoming verdict: a New York State judge holds the future of Donald Trump's business empire in his hands. After a contentious 11-week trial, Judge Arthur Engoron is poised to rule on how much money Trump and his co-defendants owe for alleged fraud and whether the former president can still do business in the state. He has already ruled that Trump is committing fraud. The civil lawsuit by New York Attorney General Letitia James, a Democrat, seeks $370 million from Trump and other defendants, up from the original $250 million figure. She claims Trump filed false financial statements that allowed him to get loans and insurance at better rates. The trial goes to the heart of Trump's image as a successful billionaire and includes fraud allegations against his Trump Tower apartment, Mar-a-Lago estate and several golf courses, among other assets. Engoron said he hopes to issue a decision by January 31st. What's at stake? James is seeking $370 million from Trump and co-defendants in the case for the return of money or ill-gotten gains. Engoron has already ruled that Trump engaged in fraud and ordered the dissolution of his business empire, but that action is on hold pending Trump's appeal. Engoron revoked the business certificates of many Trump organizations in New York, including the Trump Organization, a sprawling organization of 500 limited liability companies. Engoron also called for the appointment of a receiver to oversee the dissolution of these entities, which include buildings such as Trump Tower, 40 Wall Street and the family's Seven Springs complex in Westchester County, New York. His upcoming decision will address 6 additional claims, including conspiracy, filing false financial statements, falsifying business records, and insurance fraud. In its closing presentation, the Attorney General's office said Trump acted with the intent to fraudulently inflate the value of his assets in his financial statements. He has a responsibility, said Andrew Amer, a lawyer for the Attorney General's office, saying Trump is responsible for the conduct of the Trump Org. Executives Alan Weisselberg and Jeff McConney participated in inflating his assets. Mr. Trump certainly had the knowledge to consider and approve these statements, Amer said. The court must conclude that he acted with the intent to commit fraud based on his extensive knowledge of these assets. How severe will Engoron be? Arguments between the judge, Trump and the former president's lawyers were consistently heated during the trial. Trump's social media posts and comments outside of court even led to a partial gag order and fines. Engoron was mentioned during the trial and into written rulings against Trump and did not hold back in criticizing the former president. In the defendant's world, rent-regulated apartments cost the same as unregulated apartments. Land with restrictions is worth the same as land without restrictions. Restrictions may disappear into thin air. The failure of one party to impose liability on the other party justifies the other party's lies. Engoron wrote in summary judgment against Trump, "This is a fantasy world, not the real world," the judge added. And in December, the judge wrote a scathing rebuttal to the former president's attempt to dismiss the case. In a 3-page motion denying the motion to dismiss the case, Engoron said the experts subpoenaed by Trump's lawyers were not credible and that key defense arguments were unpersuasive. The assessment may be based on different criteria and analyzed in different ways. The judge wrote, "But a lie is still a lie. What about children?" In addition to banning Trump for life from doing business in New York, the Attorney General is asking Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump, co-CEOs of Trump Org, to be banned from doing business in New York for 5 years. But during a closing presentation earlier this month, Engoron asked the Attorney General's office pointed questions about whether Trump's adult sons were responsible for intent to defraud and participation in the conspiracy. He had already found them guilty of fraud. "What evidence do you have?" "I just haven't seen it that they knew about the fraud," asked Engoron. Ivanka Trump was initially named as a defendant, but the claims against her were thrown out last year by an appeals court due to the statute of limitations. Trump's arguments. Trump turned the civil trial into a series of campaign appearances, speaking to television cameras several times a day outside the courtroom when he was there. He consistently portrayed the entire case as political persecution, sought to disparage James, cursed at the judge and his clerk, and accused the Attorney General and the White House without evidence of conspiring to keep him out of office. This was a political witch hunt, Trump said in a dramatic moment in court earlier this month during a call with Engoron. What happened here, sir, was my deception. Legally, Trump and his team argue that there is no evidence of intent to defraud and that lenders were required to conduct their own due diligence, independent of Trump Org's assessments supplied. What's more, Trump says, companies like Deutsche Bank wanted to do business with Trump Org and went into deals with open eyes. Trump has already appealed Engoron's earlier decision and has promised to appeal anything he rules here. It is also unclear how quickly any decision will be put into effect. Gag order. Trump's behavior in and out of the courtroom led to a remarkable gag order and fines issued by Engoron against the former president. Engoron and one of his clerks were the subject of serious and credible death threats. The judge was even spanked on the day of closing arguments this month. In early October, Trump posted unsubstantiated allegations against Engoron's clerk on social media, leading to a gag order. The judge later extended the order, barring Trump's lawyers from commenting on the judge's private communications with his clerk. The order does not limit public criticism of Engoron, the district attorney, or others involved in the case. As the trial came to an end in December, Engoron recalled, "Oddly enough, I will skip this trial," the judge said. "It was an experience.